It does continue to include 10% of the administrative costs. We have built that into our budget, so if you apply for 55,000, 5,500 of that can be, go toward your light bills, buying paper, or whatever. So we just assume that's part of doing business. These grant opportunities are going to make 2 cycles per year. And you are only eligible to apply once per cycle as an organization. So if you have multiple requests, we're asking you to make the choice rather than, in effect, submit proposals that are competing against each other. So you should think carefully if you have multiple needs to think what's the best fit and the best opportunity for this funding. There's, a kind of broader set of criteria, intergenerational strategies, educational opportunities that are going to improve likely outcomes. All of these things are on our website, so I just invite you, without going into a great amount of detail here. So we're looking qualitatively at how you do the work, the process of the way you're collaborating with others, building partnerships. Are you duplicating what others are doing? Have you got a strategic plan about what's going to be left when the money's gone? Those are other ingredients that are used to evaluate your proposal. There are some things we don't typically do. We never say never, but brick and mortar requests, basic operational expenses, grants to individuals. It's a short list, so you should look over that carefully to make sure that your budget request, if you do intend to apply, doesn't meet an obvious disqualification based on the things that we normally do not do. We have our program staff here today. That's why they're here, to give you an opportunity to put a face to a name so that you know who you're calling. You should contact the program staff if you're interested in applying, just to do a test check. Do you think that this is within the field of interest that these guidelines suggest? We try to be very candid about that because we know your time is valuable, and we don't want to send you down a rabbit hole where there's no money and nor likelihood that you will get. We're clear it's going to be a very competitive process in any event. But our staff does a good job of doing a read on proposal. They understand the other side of the conversation that takes place with our advisory committees and board, and so they will try and give you a very candid assessment whether they think you've got a shot and should invest the time and energy in doing the letter of intent. All this information is available on our website. The letter of intent is a 2-page form. It's available on our website. You need to email that to us. We're trying to get to electronic, and Quantum has kind of set the stage by doing all their applications online. We're not quite there yet, but we are increasingly using the technology to help do this work, which is more cost efficient for everyone. However, there's always a plan B, so when you do email us this, send us a hard copy, because we do have spam. Sometimes spam blocks this out. I know you've had this experience, so that's your insurance policy. Make sure you send a written copy of the letter of inquiry. Pat really stays on top of this, so if you don't get a notification back from us, you need to check with her to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. If you make it through that process, then you will be invited as an organization to submit a full proposal. That proposal includes a narrative, a budget form, and requests some additional materials that's part of that application process. And these are the dates. The first one where the clock is ticking is July 15th. That is when the due date for your letter of inquiry. Julian, correct me. Is the letter of inquiry a form, or it is a form? So, it's 2 pages, not very long, but you need to be very thoughtful. So if you're into, as I once was, using 50 words to where 25 words would do, think about that. Find yourself a good editor because it's very important to distill to the extent that you can what are the very important ingredients that you want us to know about your organization and the project. You will know, the staff reviews that by the 3rd of August. By August 10th, there's an invitation and declination. You'll actually receive both email and a written notice. And then a full proposal will be due September 4th, which is, I think, is that right after Labor Day or before? I think it's just before Labor Day. So you should mark those dates on your calendar. The full proposals are no more than 5 pages and sometimes less than that. So you might want to take a look at both your calendar for that, so to make sure that you've budgeted time should you be invited to apply. We follow up those letters, those proposals with site visits, and we complete that review by the October 23rd. November, usually the second week, is when we have grant advisory committees who sit down and read and review, and the final decisions are made by our board of directors. Just to be clear, the staff role in this process is to help staff the committee's work, and while we make recommendations on an approval and declines, and also based on site visit add additional information that may not be apparent in the proposal. Please be clear, these advisory committees, these are folks who are close to the ground, they know the organizations in the community, and they actually see the proposal that you write. We don't screen it, and we don't try to clean it up to give it to them. The way you send it in is the way they get it. So again, it's just another effort if you're in thinking about how you put your information together. The clarity of which you do those things, answering those questions, and being strategic as you think about both the connection between the budget that you provide and the narrative that describes that budget. A lot of our committee members go to the budget first because they want to understand from a financial point of view what that project looks like, and are there discrepancies between the narratives. If we see staff positions that have no apparent role in the project, for example, would be a flag. Small grants program, again, not going to spend a lot of time on this. Two different opportunities to make a case for organizational development. Does your staff need training, professional development? Do you need to put together a better financial system? Are you doing board development and training? Do you need to undertake a strategic planning process? Program development, are you trying to gather partners around a table to put together a proposal application to another funder to go after, for example, federal funding? These are sources of money to help you underwrite that process. And these are the kinds of things, board development, planning tools, activities that build your program's competencies. Eligible projects might be convening of stakeholders, efforts to bridge cultural and social and economic differences. So again, all this is on the website. You can go and read between the lines, and then if you have questions, by all means, call our staff. $7,500 is the maximum grant. That's a little bit less than what we have done in the past, but our goal is to stretch this money and hope that many organizations have the opportunity to apply. We have in the past evaluated, if we get a small grant request from a $10 million organization, we think twice about that, and the interest of looking at organizations who may be on the development side, who have more modest budget as a priority for giving for this type of grants. Doesn't disqualify large organizations for applying for these funds, but it will raise the question for us, if you have a $10 million budget, then why is it that you need $7,500 or whatever the amount might be? We also encourage more modest requests, not necessarily the total amount that's available. And we take those proposals all the time. So if you've got an idea, call and have a chat with the program staff, and and they can kind of tell you what the next step would be, and or assess whether or not they think it's a good fit for these resources. So how to apply, all on the website. It's a pretty simple process. A letter. We may request additional information, and typically it's about 6 weeks for us to process these in-house. Beyond the things that we kind of do in general, some of the other work that you might know about is yourpbc.org. At the end of our panel today, we'll show you a short video. This is an attempt to provide a digital online meeting place for nonprofit organizations about your events, your resources, to talk about issues, and to share information and news. We typically do other workshops and networking opportunities like this event today. And if you're not on our email list, by all means do, because Pat is continually sending out email blasts, which you can choose to accept or not, depending on what your interests are. The same is true of yourpbgc.org. You want to show, well, we're Twittering. Don't ask me why, but no, we are. And YouTubing, it's like we got to get up there, folks. So the Community Foundation is trying to lead the way for learning how to use these technologies and get smarter. I'm actually doing a blog, which I enjoy doing this, because often you do not get to know what is it really like to be on this side of the conversation and what the perspective out there is. So I won't claim it's original thinking, but it may be of use to you just in understanding what's the larger context within which this work is taking place. Because there are 27 other community foundations in this state, other grant makers who are struggling with these issues. So this is kind of a window on those conversations. I know Paul has also got a blog. So it's a great way to kind of say, if you want to get inside the head a little bit of what it means to be in this role and to see out on this universe about the work that's being done, this might be of interest to you. And I think that's it. For me, and I would just say again, go to our website, look at the information, talk to our staff, and thank you for the opportunity to kind of bring this to you today. Thank you.